Wuthering Heights and The Odyssey are both classic adaptations released this year. While there is a heated debate surrounding the Wuthering Heights adaptation by Emerald Fennell, reviews of The Odyssey are generally positive. People admire the cinematography, especially with the fact that it's the first film in history to be shot completely on IMAX cameras, and undoubtedly it has stunning visual designs and fantastic music scores. But if you take a step back from the technological aspects of the movie and ask a simple question, what is the movie trying to convey? What is it trying to say? And what's the soul of the movie? It's actually quite unclear. I went into the cinema without having read Homer's original beforehand, so this video is not gonna be an academic comparison between Homer's original and the movie. It's more a commentary on the movie on its own terms. And on those terms, I think something is missing. Let's start by talking about the character of Odysseus. Odysseus is the Greek king of Ithaca who led his soldiers throughout the Trojan War. After the war, Odysseus tried his best to get everyone back home, fighting off various supernatural beings along the way, including Polyphemus, the human-eating one-eyed giant, and a witch who turns the soldiers into animals. Across the film, Odysseus appears as the loving leader of Ithaca and his soldiers, the loyal husband of Penelope, the god-chosen warrior who almost never experienced temptation and despair throughout the war, the perfect father to the son he's never seen before. And while this is very impressive, Odysseus is just too perfect. There's nothing morally or philosophically interesting about his character. He comes across more like a cartoon hero than a real person. His character is not convincing, and I don't have many emotional connections with him. Odysseus is an idealized leader who would never willingly put his people in danger. Although the film reveals that he's actually lied to his crew throughout the journey, it was all done for the collective good, so that more people survive. He omitted the Trojan horse plan from Sinon, so that when Sinon presents the horse to the Trojans, he genuinely believes he's delivering a gift to Athena from the departing Greeks. After Sinon dies, he learns the truth and he gets furious because Odysseus used him as an unwitting instrument of deception. During their confrontation in the underworld, Odysseus immediately expresses guilt for his omission. And as such, Odysseus is immediately redeemed from his past mistakes. The pattern actually repeats several times in the movie. Whenever his soldiers die, Odysseus is seen to be very remorseful and anxious. He also holds a great grudge over those who killed his men. Unfortunately, his foolish crew is unable to appreciate the unconditional love that Odysseus has for them. Facing extreme hunger and despair, they lost faith in Odysseus' leadership and insisted on going to check out Xerxes' hut for themselves. This results in them being turned into pigs. Just as everything seemed to be so desperate, our protagonist Odysseus comes to the rescue. Not only did he not fall into Xerxes' trap, he demanded her to restore his soldiers back into human form. The climax of his own benevolence occurs when he's told that none of his men are fated to make it home because the gods have decreed it. To this, he responds with a grand statement: "Then I defy the gods." Odysseus has always been this considerate and loving leader, and yet often faces the burden from his fellow foolish men. This portrayal of Odysseus makes a nonsense of the film's imagined world. There's a lack of exploration of the darker sides of human ego. Even during the sack of Troy, which he supposedly organized, Odysseus gazes around in bewilderment and horror, as if he's never seen a massacre before. Nolan's Odysseus is too moral, too righteous, and for some reason he's never as hungry nor as desperate as his fellow crew members. He seems to be fine all the time when his crew is apparently not. In other words, he is too infallible. As the film heavily centered on war and its aftermath, we are not shown that war or killing are bad, but only that good men like Odysseus sometimes feel bad about it, which is a very different point. Odysseus' killings look like those that happen in some epic computer games, and we feel no pity or horror at the deaths of their victims, whether Trojans, giants, suitors, or slaves. Odysseus as a husband and as a father, as a dad, is something that feels quite odd to me. Having fought enemies and supernatural entities for 20 years, he comes back home all of a sudden and reunites with his son as if he's never left him. He reunites with his wife, Penelope, as if nothing ever happened and they are immediately in love again. What I expected, which is a nuanced portrayal of a man shaped by war, instead becomes presented in the movie as a character with absolute all-roundedness. The entire time, Nolan seems to be chasing plots rather than developing his characters. My least favorite thing about the movie is its ending. Rather than remaining in Ithaca to rebuild the kingdom, the economy, and the court that Odysseus has just violently reclaimed, Odysseus sails west with Penelope into the sunset to honor the dead. Technically, this is framed as an exile, a consequence of killing the suitors, but the film underplays the consequence so thoroughly that it feels more like triumph. A man who never wanted the throne finally gets to leave everything behind. This is very unrealistic and also incoherent, considering that Odysseus has just spent the last portion of the film cleansing the court of evil suitors, positioning himself as the restorer of moral order, but in the end he simply abandons the kingdom he has been fighting for the whole time. I also don't understand why Penelope would agree to this. Because the entire time she has been anxious that her son Telemachus isn't ready to rule, fighting to hold the throne together in her husband's absence. But then in the final act, all of that anxiety disappears. It isn't clear what specifically convinces her that her son suddenly has matured enough to be crowned. Is it Odysseus' return alone? The film doesn't attempt to explain that. The Odyssey clearly wants to humanize its hero, to suggest that beneath all the violence, Odysseus still cares deeply for the people around him. But in reaching that redemption, the film glosses over the deeper themes of war guilt, the cost of command, and what a homecoming is actually supposed to repair. Nolan's credentials tell us that he is or should be a director capable of exploring nuances and difficult films. However, why does this movie feel so flat, aside from cinematography? I believe it has something to do with our current society. Under the current political climate, the risk of offending some parts of the audience is too high. This is already evident before the movie's release, where his casting choices attracted numerous controversy. The cultural war centered on casting Lupita Nyong'o as Helen of Troy and Elliot Page, falsely rumored to play the Greek warrior Achilles. Before even seeing the movie, people are quick to come to conclusions and accuse Nolan's Odyssey as woke. Race swapping is bothersome when it ignores the cultural reality of the time, or when the character's race is essential to what the character represents. But whether it has such an effect really depends on the movie and its execution. As far as I know, the Odyssey is not a story about race, so I think that people should be more open-minded and at least give the movie a chance by seeing it themselves before categorizing it in political terms. Otherwise, people would really miss the entire point of the movie and the meaning of art itself. Sadly, the society of our time has been too occupied with reading films as political weapons that belong to a particular group. Almost everything becomes too sensitive to discuss, and genuine moral discourse on difficult social issues became impossible. As such, the only way to avoid being misunderstood is to edit out any possible areas of controversy, to edit out a hero's worst moments rather than reckoning with them on screen, to avoid sitting with morally uncomfortable material, which is, if you look closer at it, forms of self-censorship. In order to please audiences from all walks of life with contrasting political ideals and values, the best way to do it is just shut up and look pretty, which is exactly what Nolan did with this movie. His Odyssey focuses on visual appeal, cinematographic imagery, music and sounds, and yet behind all of these decorative statements, there is a lack of deeper engagement with meaning. It is a fancy family show on a Saturday night. Everyone would probably have a good time watching it, no one would be upset, but also hardly inspires. The film is really not deep at all. Is The Odyssey a good film? Is it a bad film? I think it depends on what you value in a movie. If you want to watch a movie and be entertained and be drawn away by visuals and cinematographic effects, this movie is for you. You won't be troubled to think about the movie 2 a.m. midnight lying on your bed, and you would probably forget about the movie except for the fact that it looks gorgeous and has all of your favorite casts. If it hadn't been a classic adaptation, I would be much more lenient with it, but the fact that it is Homer's classic, one of the oldest surviving literature that remains relevant to our times, I believe there must be more than mere descriptions of magical creatures. There must be more to this movie than a Percy Jackson series. But I don't see that in Nolan's version. And I don't think Nolan intends to do anything revolutionary with it at all. He just wants everyone to be happy, and thus his movie feels more like Spider-Man's Homecoming than a classic exploration of human complexities. Both Wuthering Heights and The Odyssey 2026 are disappointments to me because of how these stories are flattened to suit the taste of the general public. The critical elements and themes that shape these classics are gone, and yet both movies still carry the titles that they hardly deserve. Instead of creating movies to provoke thoughts and discussions, the movies now are people-pleasing to an extent that they lost their souls. But despite all this, I'm still glad that The Odyssey is released, that the film, for good or bad reasons, brought many people back to reading classics again. Art continues to impact and reflect our current world, so hopefully there will be more meaningful films awaiting us in the future. If you like my content, consider giving this video a like or subscribing to my channel. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.